Hi, I'm Stephen, and I want to talk to you today about the International Day for the Eradication of Poverty. I live in Cornwall, and there's lots of poverty in Cornwall. It seems to be all over. Cornwall is very, very poverty driven at the moment. It's wrong. It's so wrong. And I'd like to tell you about my story living in poverty. I grew up working on farms, which the farm wages was very bad anyway. Very, very bad, very low wages. You had to do a lot of hours to get a half a decent wage, sometimes 70, 80 hours a week. That's the problem. I think because I grew up in poverty anyway, I always had hand-me-downs. We never had anything new. We never had the money to do anything with. And my dad used to work on a farm as well, and it was rubbish. It was rubbish wages, and it's never changed to this day, I don't think. The wages have been so bad. And it did the same to me. I got into debt, financial debt, and barely able to make ends meet. And that's the problem. And my daughter, she's been working since she left school, and she's in the hotel business, and she's on just slightly above minimum wage, I guess, and she's a head department in a hotel, and she has a heck of a job to make ends meet each month. She tells me at the end of each month she has about 60 pence left in her bank account, which really shouldn't be, should it? If you're working, you should be entitled to a decent wage, a decent living. It's awful, and that's what's happening in Cornwall at the moment. It's pretty bad wages all around. The wages have been stagnant for years. Everything else has gone up, bar the wages. And the solution, I think, to all this is a decent living wage. And I think if the government and the people in power would only stop and listen to what people are saying, it might be a better place all round. It's even like single parents, they are struggling like mad, especially in Cornwall. And I guess it's like the rest of the country as well. But in Cornwall, the single parents, they're really struggling. They have to go without their meals to feed their kids half the time. It just shouldn't be, should it? Should never be. I think if people were given a decent living wage, then everybody be a lot better off. That's my take on it. Everybody be a lot better off, and it's not rocket science, is it? All it needs is a decent living wage for people to live on. And of course, this universal credit, that has got to be the worst benefit I've ever seen. Growing up with it, this universal credit is awful, absolutely awful. I hear of people around the country on universal credit, and they are struggling so much. It just, it needs a heartfelt plea to this government to get their act together and do something about it. I know somebody who's on universal credit quite close to me here now, and she can't even make it through the month with that money they give them. It's total absolute rubbish. And, you know, people say, oh, it was done for a good reason to put all the benefits into one. Well, that's a load of old rubbish to me, I'm afraid. It was another way of giving people less. That's what I think. It's just another way of giving people less to spend, to live on. I feel so passionate about poverty, especially in Cornwall. The poverty levels has risen a lot in the last 10, 15 years. Really, really bad. And if those in power, the government, the councils, and all those people in power could stop and listen to what people are telling them, but it just don't seem to be getting through. And that's a big problem, isn't it? That is a big problem. But I just feel so strongly about it all. I do. People are really, really struggling with it, and you just can't, you know, people can't manage on it. And that's what seems to be the whole thing. People just cannot manage on it. And that's why I'm doing this video, to help people to try and get the message out there that something needs to be done now, you know, before it's all too late. I've known people on universal credit, and that it's awful. It's absolutely awful benefit. You know, there's nothing worse, in my opinion, and I just feel so strongly about it. You know, I just feel so strongly about it. I'm hoping that something will get done, and somebody might take listen and sit back up and listen and see what's going on. And food banks in Cornwall is really, really bad. They're everywhere. Food banks are absolutely everywhere. They're in a little back street somewhere, in a little church rooms, or they're hidden. These food banks seem to be hidden. And that's another reason why nothing gets done about it, because it's hidden and nobody knows about it, you know. And it seems to be the norm now. The food bank seems to be the norm. And it's wrong. It's totally wrong. We shouldn't have food banks for anyone to go to. But apparently you can only go to a food bank maximum 3 times. And there's no sense in it anymore. Yeah. But that's what I wanted to say about it. It's so, you know, it's soul destroying, isn't it? And that's why I wanted to get the message out there. Thank you for listening.